Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Dr. Steven Schlintz, and I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio. And I can't remember the last time I recorded a podcast episode. It's been a few weeks. As you guys know, it's the holiday season, and with the holiday season, it can get a little bit busy. But this is always an interesting time of year because what happens is we always reflect on, well, I personally reflect on what was 2019 like, what's 2020 going to be, and how am I going to reset my goals or recalibrate my goals or reinvigorate myself to the goals that I have set and make sure that 2020 is a great year. And I've had just now the privilege in the last 3 years to really work with dentists, both one-on-one and team workshops, through online programs. And it's very obvious to me that there's a few things that dentists struggle with, and I've personally struggled with. The first, I don't know if I've recorded a podcast episode on this, but I think I have, talking about one of the things that I did very early on was really invested heavily in myself. Really invested heavily in myself the first year and a half, 2 years of practice ownership. And I didn't buy technology. I didn't really spend a lot of money renovating my office. I spent a considerable amount just bringing my office up to the 1990s. I joked it was in the 70s and I got it to the 90s. But what I did invest very heavily on was myself, my skills, and clinically, professionally, on a business standpoint. And I had some amazing mentors and was put in some amazing positions very early on in practice ownership that allowed me to now become a coach and help others. And, I'm always learning through my own trials and errors. And one thing that I did is when you invest very heavily in yourself, there's a tendency to want to say, I'm still early on in my career. I'm now 34, but at the time, being 28, 29, being a practice owner at 29, I spent a lot of capital and investment in myself, realizing, okay, yeah, I'm going to make it back, and I'm going to really make it back, and it's going to be great. And I read all these financial books and all these different things about how to track your money and where to put your money and save 10%. And I started to look at that, and I realized that I was struggling financially. I was making money, but I wasn't really keeping money, and I didn't have a system in place to track it. And I found that I would go months and I'd track it, and then I'd stop tracking it. And then I'd go months and I tracked it, and then I stopped tracked it. And it didn't become an issue until the last couple of years, financial challenges and things happening in personal life that really kind of made it very evident to me that even though I've learned all these things financially, and I've helped other clients get their finances in order, I myself was not where I wanted to be financially with goals that I set years ago. And so I'm going back and I'm reflecting on this and realizing like I need to put even better financial controls, not just in my practice, but also my personal life. And so 2020 for me is going to be a commitment on that level. And I was wondering, do my clients struggle with this too? Like if I'm struggling with this, maybe my clients are struggling with this. And what I'm finding is they are. And, so 2020 for me with my clients, I'm really going to put together a system that it's kind of been on the back burner, but really implementing it and making sure, that it's easily trackable, and financial systems for me are pivotal, that they're simple. Because too many financial systems I've seen out there, they're way too complicated, way too complex, and way too much just administrative stuff that even if you hire somebody, you're still going to have to always be tracking. And I don't want to be tracking my money. What I want to do is set up a system that it basically tracks itself. I can keep an eye on it, but it's set it and forget it. It becomes automatic, but it becomes automatic in a way that's good, not in a way that's bad. And so that's one of the things that I'm going to be working on. And you might be asking, well, why is this important? I am realizing now, working with dentists repeatedly, for the last 3 years that until you get your financial stuff in order, I was going to use another word for stuff, but until you get your financial stuff in order, you are never going to be the dentist you want to be. It is so simple and it's so obvious to me now. And it's one of the reasons that I think so many dentists that are stuck in an insurance-based model, whether they're completely PPO or they're a hybrid, they feel so trapped is that they really don't have any financial control in their practice. They're actually at the whim of the insurance company. And when the insurance company wants to drop their rate 15 to 20%, well, how do you have a financial control for that? You don't, because you're not the one setting your fees. And then all of a sudden you have to produce more. And when you produce more, you have more team members, more supplies, and everything becomes more and more complicated. And the margins and the profit gets thinner and thinner. You literally do burn yourself out. And, I've had mentors that personally went to the Pankey Institute when Dr. L.D. Pankey was still there. And they said that he was of the opinion that you'll never be the dentist you're destined to become until you have $100,000 in the bank. Now, at the time, $100,000 is a little bit different now than it was back then. But let's say that it's 500,000 or $1 million, right? You're never going to be the dentist you're destined to become until you have $1 million in the bank. And you guys know this because I know this. You look at your patients differently if you're financially secure. They have different problems. You have different conversations with patients. And you're really coming from a place of caring and really doing what's in the patient's best interest. And that actually leads to more case acceptance because now you're not financially strapped to the yes. And I've realized now that, I've pushed ahead on the clinical side and the coaching side and clients are asking me all the time, like, how do you do more comprehensive care? And how do you create this wellness-based practice? And how do you do this? How do you do that? It's becoming obvious to me that the first thing you have to do is actually get your time and your money under control. Because until you do that, you're never gonna be able to develop this practice you want. I get dentists that ask me all the time, like, how do you spend an hour and a half with new patients? I can't afford to do that. I'm in a PPO practice. And I always retort, like, you can't afford not to do it. Because if you keep yourself in that same structure by the 15-minute new patient exam, and maybe you give them a treatment plan for $1,000 because that's what insurance is going to cover, and then you keep spinning around in that cycle, you're never going to have financial control in your life. So it's kind of like one of those chicken and the egg things. But I'm making a commitment to help my clients on the financial side and the time side this year in 2020. So a lot of the training that I'll be doing with the dentist is going to be on that time and money component. Because until you master that, it's very hard for you to create a new patient process that's representative of you and your values. It's very hard to create an office that's representative of you and your values. And ultimately, at the end of the day, as a dentist, I didn't become a business owner and a dentist to work for an insurance company. I wanted to create my own practice. I wanted to help my patients at the level that I wanted to help them at. And sometimes we skip ahead. We buy that new piece of technology. We are investing in that new clinical skill. I will tell you, it's almost laughable to me. The clinical skills are so vital, and I don't poo-poo this at all. I think that clinical skills are what allow you to differentiate your practice. But until you have yourself in order and your money in order and your time in order, it doesn't matter what clinical skills you develop. You're never going to be able to implement them. And, so many dentists are chasing that technical bunny. I'm just going to keep learning more technical dentistry. And then when you ask them, well, how much of it do you actually do? That you find out they do very little of it. And I was the same way. I was learning all this technical dentistry, not doing any of it. And there's a quote, I forget who said it. I heard it first from Dr. Michael Schuster. And it's a great quote when it comes to clinical dentistry. To know and not to do is not to know. And I don't know about you, but the only technical dentistry I actually remember and can really use is the stuff that I do on a daily basis. And if you're not doing clinical dentistry at a higher level on a daily basis, you'll soon forget it. And so even if you wanted to implement what you learned at Coy's, Spear, Dawson, Pankey, OBI, LVI, Texas Center, Stewart Center, Dentistry's Optimal Model, I could go on and on and on. There's all these advanced, even implant institutes. unless you're doing it on a daily basis, you're going to forget it. And then when you want to go do it, you're not going to be able to remember it. So you're not going to feel confident. So you're not going to be able to project confidence to your patients. So they're not going to say yes. And you keep spinning around in the cycle. So that cycle is evident. And in order to even start getting out of that cycle, you have to get your time and money under control. So I know I was a little bit ranty, but it's very important as we go into 2020. You guys are all setting goals in your practice. You all want to accomplish something. I've made it kind of a commitment this year for me, myself, is to get back to the fundamentals, which is time, money, organization, making sure that I'm eating the right foods, getting the right sleep, optimizing myself as a professional so that I can really give my all to my clients. I can really give my all to my patients, my practice, the practices that I'm in, the practices that I'm working for my clients. And it starts with the basics. And I will tell you, I've been in orientations where I have money, and I've been in orientations where I don't have money, and I feel stressed by that. And I will tell you, you make better decisions when you have the financial resources to make those right decisions. So money is very, very important. If anybody tells you it's not, they're lying. It's vital. So make sure that you get your money right in 2020. And as always, I appreciate you guys tuning into the podcast. And if you can leave me a review or a rating, that'd be greatly appreciated. If you are interested in learning more about how I help clients and how I kind of structure things, and you think that, you know, what I teach would resonate with you and would help you, I encourage you to book a call with me. There's a link in the description of this podcast episode that will take you directly to my calendar. We'll spend 45 minutes talking on the phone, getting to learn a little bit more about you, your practice, what you hope to accomplish, and we'll go from there. So as always, thank you again for tuning in, and I'll see you at the next episode.